So I'm going to go back to my functions.php file, and we have a couple more tweaks to do. So just to keep things tidy, I'll add another comment. And we're going to do, again, this time instead of add action, we're going to use add filter. And we want to go ahead and change the product columns, and we do that by passing in a string. For future reference, if you have a different custom post type, that's where this goes, so we just need to change that out. So that's the first, and then we're going to pass in the name of the function that we're going to call. In this case, I'm going to call it edit columns. Like so. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to add an action. And kind of similar to above, manage posts, custom column. And we're going to pass in another function, in this case custom columns. So let's go ahead and create these two functions. First of all, function edit columns, and we're going to pass in columns. And then the second function is custom columns. This is also going to get column. So within this function, we're going to define the exact columns that we want to use. So we're going to use columns equals an array. Oopsie. And we're going to provide a couple different variables. First one is going to be CB, and this is just a standard one. We're going to give an input type equals checkbox, like so. Next one we want to show is title. And basically what we're doing here is we're defining the columns, and we're defining the column header for each of these columns. So I want the product title. Next is going to be description. Price. And finally, type. And then after we set the columns array, we're going to return columns. So basically, this function passes in a columns value, and we override it with our own information and return it. So let me save this. I'm not sure if it's going to show up properly on the front end yet. Looks like we're partially there. You see the headers did change, so that's correct. But the values within them haven't, so that's the next step. Okay, so we have our custom columns, and we're passing in this column variable. The first thing we need to do is we need to do the global post, so we have access to anything within this post variable. And we're going to use switch switch column. And basically, if you haven't used switch that often before, it's basically a different way to do a long if statement with many if else's. or else if, excuse me. So we're going to check for different cases. We're going to check for the case of description. And this will match up with this. So when the custom columns is called with description, we know that we need to get data for this description column. So in the case of description, we're going to use the excerpt and break. If it's not the description, we're going to try the price. And in this case, we're going to use custom equals get post custom. And you'll notice this code is very similar to what we did above. Where was it? Here. We can basically just copy and paste this and this will work the same. Okay, so custom, and instead of setting this price variable, we need to echo it out like so, and then break. And finally, case type. We're going to echo out a function called get the term list, and this is used to get to define which categories or which custom taxonomy terms this item is a part of. So we're going to pass in a couple arguments, a post ID. We're going to pass in which taxonomy we want to get information about. In this case it's type. We're going to pass in any text that we want to display before the taxonomy results, in this case nothing. Any text that we want between taxonomy results, and I'm going to put a comma and a space. And finally, any text that we want to display after taxonomy results, and I'll leave that blank as well. Okay, so that's it for this section. And you'll notice we do have title as well, but WordPress automatically handles that for us. So we don't necessarily need to include that with our custom columns function. So I've saved it. Let's go to Chrome, refresh, and you notice now we have all the information showing up properly.